Welcome back to Inside Jacksonville on this Sunday morning.
Think about your favorite class in school. What made it so good? Was it really what you learned?
Or was it because the teacher made it interesting? I bet it was the teacher. Here's the story of a woman who felt so strongly about good teaching, she opened her own school. Students are busy working here at Millennial Christian School on Jacksonville's north side. Opened about 10 years ago, the mission of the school, to make a difference in the lives of these kids. The founder of this school, Maria McCarthy.
I realized as I was in the classroom that children don't learn the same way. We all have different unique strengths and weaknesses.
Education is under fire here in the United States. Test scores are down, dropout rates are up. McCarthy says one problem is that too many schools have to use a one-size-fits-all approach, something that she says just doesn't work.
Every student comes with a different set of skills and background. So today education, you just don't put these kids in a box because there's too much going on in their personal lives. Kids don't sit still. Get next to that if you're going to be a teacher. You've got to get a little bit more animated than giving that verbal type of instruction. You got to get creative. And so that's what we do.
McCarthy believes school should be fun, that students should never say they hate school. She goes out of her way to keep that from happening.
We've got technology, we've got all kinds of things going on, and the kids are engaged, and they're learning, and they're happy because they're treated as individuals, not like, shall I say, a herd of cattle coming through.
McCarthy loves her students. Matthew Martin, one of her first students, has been attending since the school opened.
And yeah, it's really nice being able to just come up to Mr. McCarthy, and she actually knows your name. It's not just like another student. It's really nice having a small school. We're like one big family here.
McCarthy values that atmosphere. The small setting allows her to work with students one-on-one.
Makes a big difference when an administrator / principal, because I serve in both those capacities, walks down the hall and names them by their first name. It doesn't happen that way in typical settings. So that gives that student a feeling of, I'm important. I'm not a number. I matter. And when those kinds of dynamics take place, you get solid, good education, and you get their heart.
Another way to tell McCarthy's methods are working is she's never had a problem filling out her classes.
All right, well, she sounds like a remarkable woman. What was it like spending the day with her?
It was really interesting, mainly just because she's not only the principal, but she's also kind of the administrator and manager of the entire school.
Right.
So, yeah, she really has a lot on her plate.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Would you rather have an indoor job or an outdoor job? Behind a desk or on the water? Inside Jacksonville alum Chris Mills introduces us to a guy who can say yes to all of the above.
Like many, Bill Bowers spends much of his day at work on his computer. He jots down important notes, and he looks through his schedule for upcoming appointments. And when he's finished with the keyboard, he moves on to the other part of his job, piloting enormous cargo ships through the port here in Jacksonville.
My job entails primarily two things. Knowing ahead of time how a ship will react while it goes up the river, and being able to effectively use that knowledge to get the ship safely from the ocean to the dock and then back out to the ocean again.
In Brower's job, safety is the key issue. In fact, it's the central reason why his job exists. The St. John's Bar Pilot Association, which is the organization he works for, puts safety at the top of their list.
It is in the state's best interest to have us here as river keepers, as people who are in charge of maintaining the integrity of the environmental aspects of the river as well as the commercial aspects of the river. Safety is the whole thing. That's why we're here.
Each pilot's knowledge of the river, the surrounding land area, and the people fishing in the port is a major tool. They use this knowledge to pilot the ship in an area the ship's crew may not be familiar with. Brower knows his way around every corner of Jacksonville's port.
Without a lot of trips on a lot of different vessels, there's no real way to anticipate what's going to happen as I come around this corner. And with large ships, they move slowly, they react slowly, they both accelerate and decelerate slowly.
The job of a harbor pilot can be very dangerous. Climbing up and down the ladder to board each ship is probably the most dangerous aspect, especially in bad weather.
I would say most of it would be weather related. Trying to board in a 16-foot sea with the pilot boat going up and down 30, 35 feet. Again, you have to attain some level of experience before you realize, you go, that's not safe to do. And usually you step over the line once and then you go, oh, well, that was a little too much. Probably boarding and disembarking in real heavy weather is the scariest stuff in terms of physical danger.
Knowing when the situation is too dangerous is a skill each harbor pilot must learn, and it takes years of experience to gain this type of knowledge.
Having been in the driver's seat and going, whew, that was really close, a few times gets you a much better feeling of where the line is and knowing that you can't pass this point safely. It's self-deprecating, tongue-in-cheek thing to say, but my stock line is that a monkey could do my job if you gave him 5,000 trips. It's the getting the 5,000 trips part that's tough.
Dangerous situations not only come from the weather, but also from normal people boating in the port. Brower must not only watch the ship, but also the people surrounding it.
Interestingly enough, and the United States is one of the relatively few developed countries where this is the case, all you have to do to be a qualified boater is have enough money to buy the boat. I don't care if it's a 80-foot motor yacht. If it's a private vessel, it doesn't require any sort of certification to run that boat. And most of the guys have no idea what they're doing out there.
These people can pose a danger to themselves and also to the ship. However, the danger may lie in the quiet nature of cargo ships themselves.
A personal theory of mine is that ships are too quiet. They glide silently by looking all docile and friendly, whereas nobody typically stands on a railroad track with a locomotive barreling down on them as the earth shakes. But yeah, if people had a commensurate or reasonable level of self-preservation, they would look at a ship the same way they look at a locomotive barreling down on them, frankly.
No matter how dangerous Brower's job may be, he still loves every minute of it. It is definitely different than sitting at a computer like many people do every day.
Oh, the best part about being a pilot is definitely the ship handling. We get to do all the funnest parts of being a shipmaster without any of the office politics, without any of the personality conflicts on board. We get to do the hands-on ship handling, the technical stuff, the fun stuff.
That was Chris Mills reporting.
Chris added that while the job can be dangerous, harbor pilots start smaller and work up to big ships. Everyone likes to look good, especially for special occasions. Some people make their living by making others look as good as they possibly can.
And Margie Castro joins us live on the other side of the studio to introduce us to a man who does just that. Margie?
The man I met is a makeup artist. His tools are brushes, sponges, and pads. And his job is to make people look their best when they say goodbye. This is Tommy Doyle. He's a makeup artist, and his job is to make his clients look their best for the last time.
I love working with people, and this is a very people-oriented business and job.
But the people Doyle works with aren't aware of how good he's making them look. That's because they're dead. For more than 30 years, families have trusted Doyle with the task of helping their loved ones depart with dignity.
Actually, the process begins during embalming, because embalming itself is an art.
Doyle says embalming can take up to 4 hours. After that, he proceeds to make the bodies look as natural as possible.
You need a good foundation. You want to fix the features of the face in a manner that you can cosmetize in a way that the family can appreciate. For example, lips. You want the full lip. I'm wanting to expose and to bring out all of the features of the face, not to be normal.
But not everyone comes to the morgue in a good condition. Sometimes it's a challenge.
Sometimes you have to fill out features, sometimes you have to use tissue builder. There was a time in my experience that I was a little bit apprehensive about opening a body bag for what I might see. And I think I have seen everything, literally everything.
and he really means everything. About 10 years ago, Doyle had to put his skills to the test when he had to work on his own mother.
She was killed in a car wreck and her face was messed up. And I fixed her face. I restored her face so that my father and my siblings could see her the way she was.
Doyle says despite the many challenges he faces every day, the most rewarding part of his job is seeing family members feel good about saying goodbye to their loved ones for the last time.
Doyle is more than just a makeup artist. He actually works at the funeral home Eternity Funeral Home on the south side. Doyle didn't want us to take video of the person he was actually making up, so we used some other videos simply to illustrate his work. Andrew and Melody?
Well, Margie, he definitely has an interesting job. What does he like best about it?
Well, Melody, it's always hard to say goodbye, but Doyle says it's really rewarding if he can make it just a little easier. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Margie.
Doyle is quite the artist, but art can come in many forms.
When we come back, we'll meet a man whose art is especially designed for the sweet tooth. Stick around.